Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Coming at you live on a Sunnyside Thursday. This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders. Happy Thursday, October 24th. The sun is out, another spectacular fall day in the city of Chicago. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo. Steven running the 1s and 2s today. And we got the World Series finally starting tomorrow. By the way, we're going to continue our grades. We have Bellinger and Busch on the docket today. But with the World Series starting tomorrow, the first thing I would have to say is, as an old man, can we start this thing already? Like, I understand it's tricky because you don't want to play on a day where the NFL is playing and you're going to get squashed and yada, yada, yada. Holy cow. This has been, it's like a whole nother season.
Ago. Yeah. This should have started 2 days ago.
It's crazy. The Dodgers apparently, I believe, are still favored in Vegas. We'll get our quick predictions on that. I want to tell you that we are building the biggest and best community of CHGO sports fans right now, and we have a special limited time offer right now. We want you to be part of it. Become a diehard for just $4. $4 a month. It's billed annually. That's right. $48 a year gets you a free t-shirt, access to all the written content, Ryan's newsletter, Ryan's mailbag, Ryan's cell phone number, Ryan's address, Discord, and more. ALLCHGO.com/intro to sign up today. We had a flood of diehard members join in the last 2 days. A flood.
You don't
over
100. Yeah, you don't want to miss out at all. Like the Discord's popping. I got good feedback on my mailbag that I put out yesterday. That's for diehards only.
Credit to you.
So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, you enjoy asking questions, getting them answered, I got you.
And if you want bad takes, you can continue to just keep coming here and listening to me talk.
No, but you should sign up to be a diehard.
Definitely. And also sign up to be a diehard. And you know what I didn't even mention, of course, is the card, which is what we say, instant respect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Instant respect.
You walk into the bar with the diehard card.
You got credibility in your wallet.
Down, brother. Instant respect.
You don't even need to slap it down because the way it glows in your pocket, people will know you have it.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hey, shout out to everybody in the live YouTube chat. Jay Andrews is here again. Jack, Nick, make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. We appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up on the way in or the way out or during the show, whatever.
Jack called you Steve. The real ones know. And that is true. The real ones do know.
Real ones do know about Steve.
Jack.
The OGs.
Who was
Steve.
Who was it that said Steve? Do you remember who it was?
I forgot the account name.
I did forget the
I remember
account
the person, but I don't remember the
me
account
too.
name at the time.
Wasn't it like Jack C or something?
No. It wasn't a Jack.
Wasn't it Jack? We had like 6 Jacks.
It's the guy, for some reason, thought that Luke, his name was
My
Steve.
name is Steve. It's all right.
I forgot the YouTube account, but I know
called,
the person.
I've been called a lot of
who the
things
person
worse
is.
than Steve.
Yeah, like Luke Skywalker.
A lot of things that rhyme with Stuckmeyer. So who's winning the World Series? You guys got a take on it? I'm going Yankees in 7 because I think their starting pitching is healthier. But that's just a gut feeling. I'm not placing any money. I don't have any money on that. I'm not telling you to bet that.
Yeah.
I do think this is one of the better World Series matchups in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, Sarah Langs is the one that had the stat. It's the first time ever you have the top 3 in WRC plus in Major League Baseball all in the same World Series.
Was it Ohtani, Judge, Soto?
And Soto, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing what buying a team like that could do.
Oh, Steven hates teams who spend money.
I hate it.
You hate it.
Steven hates teams who
No, you
spend
know what?
money.
I don't hate it. I just hate that my teams don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I was
I'm
waiting
a
for you to
hypocrite.
get to
I'm
that.
a
You're
hypocrite.
envious of us.
Yes.
Resentful and envious. Like, so are we. Not to your degree, of course.
I've heard Ricketts is cheap. I've
Well,
heard
that's
that
what the Godfather
on the show.
says.
Yeah.
He'll be here shortly.
Yeah, Godfather will be here
The
soon.
resident White Sox fan, Steven, he's just like,
You said Yankees and how many?
I think Yankees in 7. I think it goes the distance.
Yankees and so Dodgers get home field, right? Home
Yeah.
field starting in LA.
Mm-hmm. Jack Flaherty starting. By the way, that poll we put out yesterday, should the Cubs go after Jack Flaherty, was heavy no.
Yeah, it was.
Heavy no results.
I'm gonna go, and this is just based on vibes. Yankees in 5.
Yankees in 5.
Yankees
Quick
in
and
5.
easy.
I think they win it in New York. Because if they steal one, they got at least steal one in LA, and then you're in Yankee Stadium. You got Aaron Judge, Juan Soto in Yankee Stadium. You don't want to go back to LA. I think after that, I don't know. We'll see. Yankees in 5.
Cody, you got a prediction? Did you have a bold prediction for this series?
bold.
A 7-game series would be fun. I'll
It
say
would be
that.
awesome.
I just don't think it's going to go the distance.
Bold prediction. I'll enjoy watching it. That's bold. And that leads me to Yankees in 4 because that's the best case scenario for my own heart. This not only ends faster and that Anthony Rizzo wins. That's the only thing that I care about this entire thing. That's just me. I'm not saying it's not good for baseball. It's a good World Series for baseball. I personally just do not care.
I just don't get how you're not excited for it.
Because they are 2 franchises that I wish the Cubs would be, and it's just going to be right in front of my face for 7 games, just continuing to tell me that this is what the Cubs should be. This is how I felt all October. I have not cared about a lot of this. I've watched a handful of games in each series, but
it's been an awesome playoffs. World Series gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired of not watching the Cubs in the playoffs. We sit here the last 3 years since this network has launched, and we've said the same thing every October. We grade people yell at us, and then we talk about the playoffs in which the Cubs are never a part of. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not good or bad for baseball. I'm just saying that me personally, I'm just ready to get to the offseason, let you go to the GM meetings, let Jed say the same shit he's always saying.
Oh, you can't say that.
Sorry to the people that care. And
said Schmidt.
And then we'll do Magic. We'll do Magic One Monday and Wild Thought Wednesday for 2.5 months. The Cubs will sign a couple minor league guys that we all are like, what are we doing? And then in January, the week before Cubs convention, we'll sit here and be like, well, what have we done? We've done nothing.
We're gonna have to get a
that's
jar
how I
for
feel.
Cody.
That is how I feel about everything.
We're gonna have to get a jar like where Clark the Cub is. We'll put it there.
Yeah.
And then just every time he swears, we put it in
Swear jar or the depression
did
jar.
you guys hear Law
can't take it
yesterday?
anymore.
Did you hear Law yesterday?
Well, Law can
Law
contribute
said
to
a
that
naughty
too.
naughty. He said a naughty naughty.
Law can contribute as well, but I think you slip up almost once a day.
I don't think it's once a day.
No.
I do not think it's once a day. I have
3 a week.
I have significantly improved.
I said almost once a day.
You have cut down on your cursing. Since that time your mom
They told
was
us
here.
that we had to. I said okay. They said that we had to, so I was like, all right.
I knew it was going to be
credit to me, man of integrity. So anyways, I'm just being honest. Like, there's nothing.
I get it.
There's nothing that I'm going to get from this. There really is nothing except for just continuance of being reminded that the Cubs should be at the level of these teams, and they're just not.
Do you think Ohtani will pitch?
Ooh.
No.
Has there been? I remember seeing that like before the playoffs even started. Has there been like a real?
There's been no update. I heard that he was. I don't know if this is even true, so I don't even want to say it, but I heard that he was at least throwing, like trying to build up his arm a little bit. Be interesting if they brought him in at like to face. What if he came in to face Judge and Soto? Right?
That would be theater.
Like World Baseball. That
great
would
theater.
be incredible theater.
Incredible theater.
My bold prediction is that not that Ohtani will pitch. My bold prediction is that Michael Kopech, who's been great, will give up a huge home run to the Yankees.
Are you just trying to trigger Steven?
Yeah.
No, it actually make me feel better. Like, okay, we made the right call. They didn't figure him out. It was him the whole time.
You give him bold predictions?
My bold prediction is Kopech will give up a memorable home run.
Okay.
I don't know if it's walk-off fashion. I don't know if it's go-ahead, game time, but he's been great. But now you're facing the big dogs. And one of those guys is going to get him.
My bold prediction will be Mark Letter Jr. will close out the game. We'll save. Look at the save in the game-winning Yankees game. There's my bold prediction.
He's going to save Luke Weaver. Okay.
Because it may, maybe it goes in extra innings and they need a guy face a couple lefties.
An actual bold prediction outside of just me and trying to enjoy it.
Wait, did you say who you predict to win?
Yeah, I said Yankees in 4.
We all said Yankees.
Yankees in 4 because the quicker the better.
Okay, yeah, and then you said also Rizzo winning. Okay,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now I remember.
I don't know.
Rizzo MVP? That would be bold.
That'd be very bold.
That would be bold. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see it, but
I don't know what Vegas has, but it has it has to be almost simply Ohtani, Judge,
Soto,
like
Stanton.
Would anybody wager on anybody other than those 3? Freeman?
Betts? Mookie Betts?
Freeman's
back for game 1.
That's got a lot of playoff.
Yeah, supposed to be back.
I don't know. Let's go.
Could be good value.
Let's go with Gleyber Torres. I don't know, earning his pinstripes. I don't know. I feel like he's been trying to earn his pinstripes with Yankee fans for years, so he's going to do something. He'll have a good series.
I just hope we have good games. I know you want it over in 4, but I just hope. To me, the League Championship Series were awesome.
Yeah.
No, they were so much fun.
Again,
it was really good baseball. Really, the playoffs have been pretty good baseball.
From a baseball viewpoint, like take my fandom out. Like, yeah, this is a great World Series. The playoffs have been awesome. I'm just speaking from like being a Cubs fan. Like, this has been brutal.
Can't do it.
I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired, brother. Like
watching guys that could have been Cubs.
Yeah.
Could have been Cub, could have been Cub, was a Cub, could have been Cub, could have been Cub, was a Cub.
But for baseball, in terms of just for baseball, this is a great opportunity for the league to capitalize on growing the game and, marketing their players and stuff. So that's like probably the biggest thing about this that the league's looking at it as.
Yeah, you got the 2 biggest teams, the biggest stars in the game in the World Series. Honestly, this is like one of the matchups that even going into the season, like people wanted to see. Yankees Dodgers. Has it ever happened before? Probably. Like when the Dodgers were in Brooklyn or something, but
Yankees Dodgers?
Yeah.
Many times.
Like
in the 60s it was like 6 years in a row.
Since they moved
crazy.
to LA?
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
1980, I believe that's like you're talking like Steve Garvey Dodgers, Ron Say Dodgers. That was the Dodgers won that World Series. There were Yankees Dodgers have played many times in the World Series.
Okay, then I was just not thinking about it. No, this is
81.
Like
thanks, Mike Taylor.
This is the
Steve Yeager.
Credit to him.
This is like the World Series matchup that people wanted to see, especially with Shohei in LA, right? The majority of people, obviously, like you would rather see the Cubs in the World Series. Like, I get that. But this is it's Yankees Dodgers, Shohei, Judge, Mookie Betts, Soto, Garrett Cole. This is going to be a big series for baseball in general. I know MLB loves the fact that those 2 teams got there, and I'm really excited because, like you said, the whole playoffs have been fun. There hasn't really been a bad series. There's been some blowout games, whatever, but like feels like every series has been really good, and I'm expecting these 2 teams to put on a show too. Even though I said 5 games, I'm expecting some good games as well.
With the Cubs not in it, the postseason's gone about as good as you could hope. The Brewers got knocked out right away.
In
embarrassing fashion. Yep. And we've had great back and forth theater with some of the biggest stars in baseball. And now you have, the Fall Classic set up for good players and great players to go head to head.
Yeah.
I'm for it. Jack says, Cubs, you are winning 83 games again next year. That is very possible. We're going to get to our report cards coming up in a second, but first, Ryan and I want to tell you, I don't know if you know this, Ryan, but did you know that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient?
To be honest, I actually did not know that, Luke.
I figured that. But yeah, the energy efficiency program can help find up to 35% in energy savings. That's right, 35%.
35%? So what does a business have to do to get that?
All they have to do is sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
Wait a minute. If it's that easy, why aren't more businesses doing it?
That's the million-dollar question. Maybe they're just forgetting the website?
Yeah, maybe. ComEd.com/biz. ComEd.com/biz. ComEd.
That's enough. That's enough.
All right,
terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customer energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
It was a lot better this time around. Credit to you guys.
We practiced for like an hour yesterday.
I know. That's all we did after the show yesterday was practicing ad reads.
We role played. We did the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Changed outfits. With Empire Today, you get to shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire just can't be beaten on quality, service, speed. So competitors try to advertise low-quality products that Empire won't even carry. Empire is not going to promise you the lowest prices because anybody that's doing that is probably putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their own. They keep shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with 1,000 of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Our virtual floor designer is a great way to see new floors and how they will look in any space. It's easy. You just snap a picture and boom, instantly see how those new floors are going to look in your room. Shopping for floors at the old big box store, that's a real crapshoot. Roll of the dice right there because you might be talking to somebody that was working in the garden center yesterday. The day before that, they were in plumbing. The day before that, they were in flooring. All right, flooring is all that Empire Today does. They live and breathe flooring. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service all their own warranties themselves. You don't have to track down the manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code CHGO. That's right. 4 key letters, CHGO, and that equals $350 back in your pocket. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. Can you imagine that? Your whole life is flooring.
Man.
It's all they do. It's all they do. They live and breathe flooring, carpet, vinyl flooring, hardwood floors. They love floors.
Friends would love to come to my place if all I thought about was flooring.
That's right.
It'd be a real decorative spot.
That's right.
It'd be the place to be. You'd come over, drink Blue Moons, and look at my floor.
The Dodgers, since the Dodgers moved to LA, the Dodgers and Yankees have played in the World Series 4 times, but not since 1981.
81. Yeah, I remember 81.
Was that 43 years ago?
81 was a time where my Cub fandom was fading as a child, and I adopted the Dodgers as my backup team that would play in the postseason. So I rooted for the Dodgers in that.
I've never, adopted a team.
Well, it just had to be another National League team. At that point, it was you either won your division or you got in postseason. That's why 84 was so big. But by 81, geez, I'm 5-6 years into this thing watching baseball, and we're not even sniffing the playoffs. I got to root for somebody when it comes to the playoffs. So sure. It was another blue team. It looked sunny.
Another blue team. And sometimes that's all it takes.
And
right?
then Ron Say eventually went and played for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Grades continue. We're running out of guys to grade. Niren wants to
share a podcast.
Yeah,
he was on. I think he was on Mick Gillespie's.
Oh, nice.
Sure.
We've never had him on. We should have him on.
This is not a competition. There's room for all podcasts.
Oh, yeah. We're building
platforms.
A community here.
We're building a community. Diehards. Hopefully, Niren's a diehard. I think he's a diehard. Perhaps. Comes out to our events, supports us.
He does come to our events, yeah.
Shout out Niren.
All right, so today's grade, Bellinger. Here's another one that I guess you could call controversial in that I think people have hot takes on this guy. It's not as hot takey as Morel. It's not as hot takey as the hot takes on Dansby Swanson or Ian Happ. But there are people with strong feelings about Cody Bellinger. There's no debate that when they initially signed Cody Bellinger in the Prove It year, that was a great signing by Jed Hoyer.
Yeah.
And Cody Bellinger had a great season in a Cubs uniform. Then we got to this point of an entire offseason where it was, will Bellinger be back? Will Bellinger be back? Will Bellinger be back? We went to Nashville. Will Bellinger be back? Will Bellinger be back? We stood there, and Boris stood in his white suit above everybody with the sun beaming in from Nashville over his shoulder. Is he coming back? We'll have to see. There aren't too many players like Cody Bellinger. Finally, in the 24th hour of the 24th day, Bellinger signs, as predicted by somebody on this podcast.
Yeah, Gary. No, not on the podcast.
You're looking at
Gary Ross.
Well, Gary was with me. That's the one time Gary and we were eye to eye.
And most importantly, me and Brendan started the Reaction podcast at like 2 a.m. Mountain Time. And Ryan eventually joined us.
Yeah, that's something you guys conveniently keep leaving out. It's just the fact that I hopped on there.
You did hop on. I did not forget this time.
I didn't jump on because I knew it was happening because I had predicted the 24th day, the 24th hour. So at that point, what do I have left to do?
Is it a coincidence today is the 24th?
But rest. And on the 7th day, I rested, and Bellinger was signed.
Did you intentionally wait until the 24th of October to do this?
That's right.
Just hand out the grades?
24th.
Not a coincidence.
Just months later.
I love it.
No, it's not. It's not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence.
We gave you credit for winning the 83 wins. We can't just keep giving you credit for throwing random things out there and seeing what's.
I bought you a $75 lunch. You'll agree with whatever I say.
That's not true.
He did actually.
75.
Do you know what lunch costs these days?
At Crossroads across the street. He definitely. I mean, it had to. I wouldn't be surprised if it was $70 plus tip.
You said you bought me a $75 lunch.
Well, the way you were packing it away.
I gave your kids my fries. I said, take these and give them away.
That's probably where they got the cold.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
what a moment in CHGO Cubs history.
Anyway, a Bellinger signs. So we get the signing, and then he has a season that's a bit of a roller coaster, right? Like, I don't know that it's his fault that they were hoping he'd exceed projections again for the second straight year. All of us sat here on this podcast and said, when he signed, this is great, but you're only bringing back the same offense that you did last year, and that is if Bellinger is able to repeat the same season again.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I thought the signing was wrong. I thought the signing was right. They desperately needed a left-handed bat. They desperately didn't have an answer yet at first base because we didn't know about Michael Busch, so you had to have some sort of backup plan there, and it couldn't be Patrick Wisdom. So it was the right signing at the right time again, but it was expensive, and now we sit here and wait to see if he's going to opt in for millions and millions next year. There's also the stuff with the injury and the broken rib and crashing into the wall. Like, should he? I don't know. I thought it was what I would call an average season. Okay? I don't know. I don't know the WRC plus. I don't know the WAR. I didn't look at any of it. I gave you the old Stucky Stats eyeball test. What did Cody Bellinger do? He had an average season. That's how I felt. He's a good baseball player who had a good season, but not a great season, and probably not worth the money that contract paid, but it was still a contract that the Cubs had to pay, and that's the price of doing baseball. So I believe I gave him a C. Is that correct? Steven?
Come on, Steven.
Steven was fantasizing about the 78 again.
Yeah.
I would never.
I gave him a C. There it is. I gave him a C.
Yeah.
Oh, look, that Godfather and I on the same page, just handing out C's. There we are.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, though?
Just handing out C's. Now I'm starting to think it's too negative. If the Godfather and I agreed on the same grade, both a C.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
C is a passing grade. I got many of them in my life. I was happy with each one that I received.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's fair.
I has a 2.9 GPA. Same.
It's not an MVP type number.
I never got a C.
Mike Taylor voted C in the poll.
Yeah. Nieran says, if I were Cody Bellinger, I would try and get as much money in length as possible with his injury risk.
Jim Cook wagered on him to be the MVP.
Did he?
Well, he got MVP.
I don't believe he cashed that ticket.
He got MVP votes last year. It's not if he did or didn't. Sales guy Jim, we talk a little books in the office sometimes, but
I'm with you, Luke. I mean, he had a 109 WRC plus, so solidly above league average, but not like this otherworldly hitter that they kind of needed. And when you compare it to 2023, and this is something that Jed's talked about, like there were points where Cody Bellinger was just carrying the offense. Like he was hitting home runs or extra base hit, whatever it was, he was carrying the offense for stretches, and you need that. And so when he has a 136 WRC plus in 2023, like that's a really, really good offensive season. And obviously he spent a lot of that season in center field, manning center field for the Cubs, a major plus on the offensive side and a major plus for Cody on the defensive side. This season, obviously, like we know Pete Crow-Armstrong's the better center fielder. He wasn't like Bellinger wasn't going to play center field while PCA played right field or whatever. Like,
right, correct.
PCA was going to be the center fielder, and Bellinger was going to go where they needed him to. That ended up being right field and some first base. So I don't want to I'm not like knocking him for not playing center field this year, just because like we knew that they had like a Gold Glove caliber center fielder coming up as soon as at the end of April. Offensively, he took a step back, a big step back. He had a 109 WRC plus. His power numbers were down across the board. His numbers in general were down across the board. Again, it's an above average season, but it's also in the context of like he was taking up almost $27 million in like luxury tax payroll. Like I think he got paid 27.5, but like for the luxury tax it was 26.666, whatever. That's a big chunk of money for you're paying a guy, and a guy that produced so much for you in 2024. You felt like you really needed him to produce again this year, especially if you were running it back with mostly the same team. I know like Michael Busch came in and performed, and that helped. But to get that team over the hump from where they were in 2023, you needed Bellinger to it was going to be hard for him to put up that kind of season again from 2023, but to not take too big of a step back offensively. And he did. He just did. And, maybe the conditions at Wrigley Field where he's playing half his games, maybe that affected him a little bit, especially when it comes to the slugging, the power numbers. And I think he's still offensively the guy that I think has the best two-strike approach on the team, and you can see that just the ability to change up his swing mechanics or whatever with two strikes, like that's hard to do. But it was just, it was a slightly above average offensive season for him. When you look at his 109 WRC plus, I gave him the C plus on mine because I valued his defensive versatility. Like I said, he was able to move to right field. So PCA can play center field. That allowed the Cubs to move Seiya out of right field where we weren't super impressed with his defense, and he was able to just DH for I forgot how long it was to the end of the year, and he had a really good offensive season. And obviously, if Michael Busch ever needed a day or if he got hurt, Bellinger could have played more first base too. I value the defensive versatility he brought. I think that's important for what this team was trying to accomplish this year, and so that's why I was a little bit higher on his season than you were, Luke. But overall, it was it's a C plus. He had a passing season, but they definitely needed more from him and didn't get it.
We're going to get to Cody's grade in a second, and we're going to find out what Jim Bowden thinks Bellinger would get if he did indeed opt out. And I want to read Dan Kelly's comment from the live YouTube chat in a second. But first, our man Cody is going to tell you about our friends at Sunnyside.
Well, you know what? To get through Cody Bellinger's season and most of the Cubs season, I had to go to Sunnyside a lot, guys. Our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your autumn. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. Stop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or FloraCal. Available now is the Good News new limited time Island Vibes.
Oh,
Luke.
Man, I have an island vibe right now, let me tell you.
I just know that Luke Stuckmeyer would love this. He needs to try it.
Palm trees.
All right.
Give me palm trees.
We say this all the time. Me and Luke both say this a lot. We know that Corey Freeman loves Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates.
Stop talking about him.
He won't shut up about it. He's talking about how he was in a documentary on Amazon.
Oh, yeah, we're going to show you that picture.
He's talking about that. He can't stop talking about that, and he can't stop talking about
picture's got Sunnyside vibes.
Mindy Siegel's award-winning chocolates. He can't stop talking about both of them right now. He's at home right now watching us, probably talking about them both to like whoever is at his apartment, okay? You too can be like Corey and go to Sunnyside and get those. All you got to do is go to sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Fellas, adventure is calling. Answer it this October by shopping new low prices during Jeep Adventure Days going on now at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Stop in today to browse their huge inventory of new vehicles, and right now shop electric savings like 0% financing for 72 months on a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe and Wrangler 4xe models, or shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray CDJR help you during each step of your car shopping journey. With Ray's Price Promise, the numbers you're hearing right now on the podcast are the same you could expect to shop in-store and online. That's because Ray's Price Promise means no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees. Since they prioritize affordability to their customers, hurry into Ray CDJR today and shop one of the Chicago area's largest inventories and drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd expect. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you got to check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963.
Okay. So for the sake of conversation, I want to describe Bellinger, or I want to perhaps make the argument on why perhaps his grade could be lower than a C. All right. So how much did he make this year? 27?
$27.5 million.
$27.5 million. All right. In 2023, it was a 4.4 Fangraphs WAR. This year, he was a 2.2. All right. For a guy making that kind of money, that's just not good enough. Like, in my opinion, I think if you're making anywhere close to $30 million, you got to at least be a 4-WAR player, in my opinion. Okay. Again, just making the argument here. I'm just saying. All right. He was hurt twice this year. I would say one of them wasn't his fault because it was a pitch thrown at him. Obviously not on purpose, but it did lead to him missing significant time in July. He missed most of the month of July, right? Him running into the outfield wall, whatever. He's still, like Ryan described, a great defensive outfielder. Would I say he's PCA level? No, but he's very solid. He's won a Gold Glove out there. Him being able to take over right field in place of Seiya, because Seiya's right field defense this year was awful, is a sign of value that he provides. So I'm giving you a negative and a positive, and that is why, and that is kind of how I look at his entire season. There are plenty of reasons that he brought value to the team, but also he just didn't provide the value that you paid him to be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it was mainly like a whole season thing. You know, Swanson was awful for 3 months, but he was in many ways better than what he was being paid to be the last 3 months. If you just look at the numbers from whatever dates I gave you from the beginning of July to the end of the year, Cody Bellinger was consistently average all season. So to me, that's why he gets a C, because it still has defensive versatility, and it's not like he hit 210. He hit 270 like all year and gave you a 110 WRC plus. I'm literally describing an average player. The negatives that I have is the fact that he's one of the highest paid players on the team, and he just didn't live up to that. At the same time, though, like Luke said, you had to bring Bellinger back because it's a left-handed bat. You didn't have a lot of them, and he was coming off a season that he had, and you had the only thing he had done going into spring training to add to the offense was trade for Michael Busch,
who he was a total unknown.
Right, which was a total unknown. So, like, the whole Bellinger thing brings me back to why Jed Hoyer gets an F, honestly, for me, So I think that it was necessary that they needed to bring him back. I don't regret pushing and doing stupid videos all offseason last year about how they need to bring Cody Bellinger back. I do not regret any of that. But he didn't play like a $30 million player. So I think one of the things that kind of gives me some sort of optimism for him if he does opt in and stay is the fact that his home and road splits were pretty different. And I'm not saying the weather played a massive factor. You can argue that it might have in terms of the home runs.
Yeah.
He went from 26 homers to 18 this year. And is it because he was hurt twice and he missed at least, a month and a half's worth of games? Perhaps. But on the road, he was nearly an 800 OPS. At home, he was a 700 OPS. All right. That's a 100-point difference, right? So, like, I just think that he was a better player on the road than he was at Wrigley, and they play more games at Wrigley. And, again, I'm not blaming the weather for the offensive struggles on this team, but, again, they were a bottom 5 offensive ballpark this year. Again, not blaming it.
And that's what I said. Like, maybe that played into his numbers taking a step back is the fact that he did play half his games.
And his slugging percentage, in 23, he slugged like 530. This year, he slugged 426 for the entire season. So what was going on at Wrigley certainly affected his power numbers. That's for sure. I think that's fair to say. Should I blame the weather for that? No. I'm not trying to. I'm saying that it did play a factor. They needed more slug from him, and that's probably my biggest complaint about him is that he just didn't provide that this year. But at the same time, I blame Jed Hoyer mostly because he was supposed to come back, and then you were supposed to add to the offense, in which they didn't. They added a rookie player who we're going to talk about at the back end of the show that was a massive unknown and thankfully turned out to be pretty solid.
I'm just waiting for William Workman to jump in and say that you didn't want them to sign Matt Chapman. I'm just waiting for that to happen.
Steven,
it's coming.
Can you open in the chat before we
said that?
Before we did the ad reads, there was somebody that had a comment about Bellinger that I thought was pretty good.
No, but yeah, I mean, I think the whole one of your original points of what was he being paid versus what was the production, and like I think as James Colstock talked about it as far as like what he's being like comparing it to the Swanson thing, and I'm like, well, Swanson gave you Gold Glove caliber defense at least on one side of the ball. He gave you over 4 WAR. Like Bellinger was, I think we said like above average player, but not exactly to the level that Dansby Swanson was. They're both making about the same amount of money this year, but Dansby gave you more value at least on one side of the ball. I know the offense took a long time to come around. The knee probably played a part in that, but he was at least still giving you Gold Glove caliber defense for at least, I don't know what, 85% of the year. I think that matters when you're grading Swanson too.
The comment from Dan Kelly was he'd give him a B, but not worth $27 million. Do I want him to opt out? Yes, in terms of getting that money back. No, because I don't trust Jed to find better use for it. That's
Dan,
fair. Care for what you wish for, right?
I'm handshaking with Dan on that one because I'm just like,
that's right.
I feel that. I feel that deep in my soul so well.
I don't have a problem with the people that say Dansby's not worth that, Bellinger's not worth that, if that's how you truly feel. Yeah. But then I would say, oh, fine, then take both of those $27 million and go get yourself a Soto. Like, is one Soto better than having Swanson and Bellinger? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I think
I'm willing to find out.
Probably.
I think like the most clear thing I can say when we've been doing these grades and I somehow end up finding myself bringing up why Jed Hoyer gets an F for me is because when we talk about roster construction with this team clearly needed an offensive boost going into 2024, and they just brought the same team back and added a first baseman that you didn't know anything about, that you didn't know what you were going to get. Thankfully, he worked out. What's crazy is that he worked out, but you still didn't make the playoffs. Is that because Bellinger and Swanson were average players this year? Probably. But at the same time, we all knew, everyone in this YouTube chat and all three of us knew that they needed to add a star caliber player. They needed to do it, and they didn't do it. They didn't put the offense over the top. It just didn't. They relied on Bellinger repeating something that he hadn't done consecutive years since before COVID. You know what I mean? As much as I wanted Bellinger to come back, that was still always the risk. And if you're going to run that risk, you had to do more. And they didn't do more to bring some, what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Push him over the top?
Not push him over the top, but like something that you knew you were going to get. We didn't know we were going to get out of Busch, but they didn't do
a guarantee.
A guarantee. You didn't bring in a guarantee. At least with Swanson,
known quantity.
At least with Swanson, there's a guarantee. He's going to give you Gold Glove defense, and he's, for the most part, going to be an average hitter. That's what you know you're at least going to get. I know he wasn't an average hitter for 3 months, basically. Whether that's the injury or whatever, that's a whole nother conversation that we've already had. But the fact that they didn't add another bat to come back with Bellinger after what happened in September of 2023 is just incompetence, in my opinion. So while I put a lot of blame on 2024 not happening because Bellinger didn't have another MVP type caliber season, how can I sit here and say that I should have expected it outside of the fact that he got $27.5 million when he hadn't done consecutive seasons of that since before COVID?
You want to see the difference between the Cubs and the Dodgers and the Yankees, it will be on full display in the World Series, and the answer is superstars. It's the biggest difference. Like all three teams have some good players, but those two teams have superstars, and it creates a massive gap in where the Cubs are to where those teams are in Major League Baseball. Speaking of the World Series, apparently there is a documentary. Is it Amazon that has a documentary about Game 7s?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the documentary.
Apparently this photo was in there, and yeah, that's Corey. Corey.
That's Corey Friedman.
That's Corey.
Say it again.
That's Corey.
Do you think he knew they were taking this photo?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
he's just super
look
happy.
At the sunny side. Look at that smile.
Like a playoff beard in full bloom.
Yeah.
Just super happy, smile on his face.
I used to dream at times like feeling like
Find a
that
girl
again.
who loves you like he loves his Sunnyside Mindy's chocolates. Huh? Anyways, so we're going to continue our report cards again. And so I think those are all fair grades. It's kind of like C-ish range. It was a passing grade. It was an average grade. But again, there's no way it's an A. If you want to go as high as a B-, I could argue that maybe. But I also could go as low as a C-.
I feel like this
for
is
what it's
one.
worth. Yeah, Chad agreed with you guys. 70% said C grade for Cody.
I feel like this is one we shouldn't get yelled at too much on Twitter, but
we
probably will.
Well, like I said, I think it's a controversial grade? No, I don't. But I think he's one of those players that gives you just a little bit of people either love or hate the signing, right? Like people get mad when there's big money involved.
Well, Ryan brings up the guy who's in the chat every day saying that I didn't want Matt Chapman.
Willie Workman.
Okay, say that they signed Matt Chapman instead of Cody Bellinger, and I guess you move Morel to DH. And does that mean that they're going to put PCA in center field on opening day, or is it going to be Mike Tauchman? All right,
it's possible.
And also, is Matt Chapman going to have the same offensive year at Wrigley this year? His defense is significantly better, but does he have the same offensive year? I say, and it's crazy I'm saying this because he played for the Giants, which is like a pitcher's ballpark for sure, right? I was never against signing Matt Chapman. It was always about you had to bring Bellinger back and then add someone with him. But if you force me to choose one of them, I would have taken Bellinger because of what you said, Luke, because he's a left-handed bat, and the Cubs didn't have any outside of Ian Happ, who's a switch hitter technically.
And a total unknown in Michael Busch. If Bellinger does opt in, I would play him in right field until you know that Nico is healthy, and then I might move him to first base and then Busch to second base.
Ooh,
and figure out something.
It's wild.
You're looking for Thursday. Listen, I don't know what else they're going to do, but there's a lot of opportunity there. We'll get to Michael Busch's grade in just a second, but first, Roback activewear. You all know by now that Steven wears Roback all the time. It's quite simple. Best fit, best feel. The quality of the gear just speaks for itself. Their performance polos perform better in the heat than any other polo. They're moisture wicking, so the polo doesn't stick to you, and you have a nice little stretch there. Their everyday shorts are perfect for a combo for a day on the move, and they can look clean, but also a comfortable elastic waistband. And with fall hair, add one of their performance hoodies to your closet. They're the softest items you own. We just can't take them off. If I had $1 for every time Steven walked by me and said, "You want to touch my hood?"
I could do this live right now. You can get
You want to come over?
Yeah, let's do it.
He keeps walking by. I never do it. I never take him on it because it's a little creepy. He's constantly like, "Do you want to touch my hoodie? Do you want to touch my hoodie? Do you want to feel my hoodie?" That's like butter. That.
I want to feel it.
I felt like I just got a little.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's not margarine. That's butter.
I have one. I'll feel it.
You know what? There's even a soft texture on my fingers afterwards. I feel like I moisturized. Did I just moisturize my fingers? That's so soft.
Built in.
On the performance polos, the collars never lose their shape. On these hoodies, they're designed for comfort and built for activity. They're moisture wicking and breathable, as you can tell. And everyday shorts, just incredibly versatile. So use the code CHGO Cubs 20. Remember that. CHGO Cubs 20 on Roback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts with the code CHGO Cubs 20. Make sure to check them out, and they will have you ready for whatever travels or activities you might have planned this fall and winter. Like I said, Steven doesn't take the thing off. And he's constantly walking around to people. Do you want to touch it? Do you want to touch it? And now that I have, now that I have, now I'm going to say, "Hey, can I touch your hoodie?"
I'm glad that you're not. I've worn the hoodie. I've worn my hoodie at least 4 or 5 times recently.
Can I touch your?
And you haven't asked to touch my hoodie. I feel kind of special because I really don't want you to, but
I will. Now that I know that it moisturizes my fingertips, it's getting to dry finger season.
They are super soft, though.
Dry finger season.
I hate dry finger season.
Oh, sure. Dry skin.
I got bad genes when it comes to that, so, I feel that.
A little ashy in the winter, a little dry. And
it's like the bad
flaky
thing that's the worst part about fall weather for me. Yeah. When it goes from summer to fall, I don't know if it's like the Filipino blood in me or whatever, but, my skin gets ridiculously dry in the fall going into the winter.
I got to lather up in lotion. Being human.
I have to really focus on moisturizing my elbows and knees, or they get ashy with my tan skin. Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
okay. Bellinger got C's, and so then the other guy was Busch. And I asked the question before we get to Busch, before we give our grades: would you rather have Pete Alonzo than either guy at first base? I know Cody's answer to this. If Alonzo's available, which I don't know, he had a pretty good postseason, whatever the price might be, would you rather include Busch in a deal to get something back or move Busch to second, whatever, Pete Alonzo, DH, whatever? Would you rather have Pete Alonzo, Cody Bellinger, or Michael Busch?
It's such a lose-lose question, Luke.
Yeah, it's
he's going to be the largest long-term commitment. There's no question about that.
If you're telling me I can only have one of them, I don't feel like the team is any better if it's just one of them. That's the thing.
That's the problem.
I don't have a problem with Pete Alonzo on the Cubs. I have a problem with Pete Alonzo on the Cubs and not Michael Busch with him or whoever. That's the thing.
Gotcha.
And I don't know how the Cubs are going to do that. Now, if they can maneuver it that way, if they can maneuver the roster, make some moves to where you add Pete Alonzo and you can keep Michael Busch, then yeah, I'm here. They need the 30 homers. My thing about Pete Alonzo is I just think he's a little overrated. Like, I just don't think he's a superstar caliber player. I think he's been a really good home run hitter for years. But I watch enough Mets fan videos over the last month that tell me that they don't want to overpay for him. I was watching some guy on TikTok the other day that was talking about how he'd be completely fine if Pete Alonzo walked.
A polar bear?
Like, I'm just being honest with you about what I'm watching from Mets fans, people who watch him every day.
Right.
I think that if you add Pete Alonzo to the Cubs, you have to find a way to still keep Michael Busch on this roster.
All right, speaking of Michael Busch, my grade was pretty simple. He was a rookie, an older rookie at that, but he did pretty much everything you wanted. Now, were there peaks and valleys? Yes, the beginning of his season was outstanding. The end of his season was a bit of a dip offensively. I put him in the B range. I don't give him a perfect grade because it wasn't consistent the whole way through, which I think A's should be reserved for people that have special seasons. I think it was a really, really good rookie season. I don't think you can guarantee that it's going to happen again next year just because it happened in his rookie season. But the thing that impressed me the most wasn't his stretch of home runs that he hit early in the season. It wasn't that he had an overall good season. It was that his defense continued to get better at first base. I thought when he first started the season, I thought there's no way they can play this guy at first. And by the end, was he not like the best defensive first baseman in the National League or one of? So I gave him a B. I gave him a B, and I hope that he can continue to be that level again next year. And I agree with Cody. You can't just go into next season thinking, oh, well, he's going to go from a B to an A next year because he was a B this season as a rookie, so he'll take that next step automatically. No, that'd be great if he did. If he took another jump, you'd be thrilled, but don't expect that, right?
Yeah. Well, I know the grade I put in there. The more I look at Michael Busch, and like I've been like the points you've just made, I was already considering those. I bump up to a B+ for Michael Busch.
B+. That's what James Colstock's going for too. So Ryan's got a B, but he'd like to change.
Graphic works.
Yeah, well, the graphic's made already. It says B on there. I gave a B initially. Steven was rushing me to get the grade in.
It was like 5 minutes before the show started.
That's fine.
He make the graphics.
He wants free lunch and he wants a plus added to his graphic.
Okay. Well, I guess we can't. I can't add me to the graphic for Dansby Swanson either. As Cody's told me the last couple of days to put a grade in for that. Anyway.
Someone's got to yell at you about that too.
I give Ryan Herrera an
post it. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, Michael Busch, I think consistency was the word that popped into my head. And, you know, comparing him and PCA's rookie season, I don't like doing that because obviously PCA was 22 all year. Michael Busch is an older rookie. They play different positions, whatever. PCA had very low lows, like as low as you could go, like so low that like if he wasn't giving you Gold Glove caliber defense, you probably would be like, how they can't keep this guy up here. He has to go back down to AAA, right? Michael Busch, I was looking at it, like his OPS dropped below in full calendar months. His OPS dropped below 700 once, and that was at like 692. He had a few like 840, 850 higher than that, right? But a lot of like in the mid 700. I feel like he was consistently a really solid hitter all year. And for a rookie, like, yeah, he had like his April was insane, obviously with the home runs and stuff like that. I think his OPS was high 800 or higher 800s. And like his May was more like mid 700s, something like that. Obviously the numbers fell a little bit, but he was just so consistent for me offensively. He had his down moments, but like month to month, it seemed like the numbers were very consistent, and that impressed me for a guy getting his first full season, first full shot in the major leagues, regardless of how old he is, right? And then you mentioned the defense. The defense was something that arguably the biggest progression of him was this guy looks like a good first baseman, and I like. The fact that he played so many games at other positions, like I think, I want to say most of his minor league games came at second base.
Right.
You see the range that he has at first base, and you see even the numbers when you look at him compared to other first basemen. Like, no first baseman has the range that he has, or it doesn't seem that way, and that probably stems from the fact that he did play positions where you need that range. So that helps him, I think, and it seemed like he really improved throughout the year. Was remained consistent at the plate, improved a lot defensively. I really liked Michael Busch's season, and I think it's one to build on. And we've said it for the last 3 years. You kind of sat here and you're like, what are the Cubs going to do at first base? They haven't had a first base since Anthony Rizzo. I don't think you're really saying that question anymore. Now he has to go out and prove it, of course. Like, you're not fully invested in him as your future first baseman.
That's the crazy part. Like, some of us are still ready to say, listen, he was the best first baseman they've had since Rizzo. He got really good. He was great defensively. Should we move him to second? Should we move him to, like?
But I think that's more of a credit to the fact that he can move to second base, right? I think that's also
I think
that's
so.
part of it. But so what I'm saying is, like, it feels like if he remains at first base, it feels like he's answered some questions to the point where, like, you feel like he could end up being the first baseman of the future. I don't think we ever even said that with Frank Schwindel, despite the end of his 2021 season. Alfonso Rios, all these guys that played first base, none of those guys fit even Matt Mervis, when he came up and struggled, like, then you were kind of like, okay, none of these guys have fit the mold of, like, this is the first baseman of the future for the Cubs. It does feel like Michael Busch at least is starting to move that piece into the puzzle there. I don't know the right metaphor to say there.
I just love a good Alfonso Rivas drop.
Mm-hmm.
Fonz.
Just Cubs legend.
Fonz. You know what? Okay, go ahead, Cody. Should we talk about our Die Hard program real quick? Let's. Cody's grade is coming up in a second. Because I know I like to tease Cody's grade. I like to tease it because it keeps everybody on the edge of their seat. Because everybody knows it could go anywhere. Go anywhere. It could go off the rails. It could go right down the middle. We just don't know.
Everyone likes
one
to hear
thing we know you can
takes.
count on is our Die Hard program. Told you about it at the very top of the show. Right now, limited time offer, $48. That's $4 a month. It's billed annually. Ryan's article's in there. Newsletter comes out on Monday.
Friday.
I'm sorry. Newsletter comes out on Friday. Mail bags are usually earlier in the week. All of the written content, we're trying to find out what the Cubs are going to do this offseason. Some of it's going to be behind the paywall, but if you're a diehard, it doesn't matter. You'll have access to it. You'll have access to the Discord where you can find out what's going on behind the scenes. You could talk with other Cubs fans and diehards, the other sickos that are there on the Discord, sitting there chatting it up with us at 4 o'clock in the morning. You can be there. You get the shirt the first time around. You get the diehard card. You get all the perks that come with it, the discounts, right? The dope merch. Cody's got it on.
Oh, yeah.
He's got it on today.
Oh, yeah.
I actually do too. It's just underneath my hoodie. We got some sick shirts out right now. A lot of new Bear stuff is on the way. So go ahead and sign up to be a diehard. This is the best deal we've ever had. $48 for the whole year. It's a great holiday gift idea. Anyways, want to tell you about that one more time so you don't forget. And yeah, by the way, the Bears show is the next one coming up. That's at 1 o'clock in just a bit. But Cody first. All right, here we go. Much awaited. Highly anticipated.
Should we drum roll?
Michael Busch grade from Cody Delmendo.
There we go.
And Michael Busch.
Yeah, I'm giving him a B. It was the most highly anticipated grade for me ever given. I wish they would have done this when we talked about Jed. That would have been better. I also, before I go into it, I want to point out Jay's comment. He says, I know my grades are right because I write them out with my diehard card with me. See that, and everyone knows. See,
that's right. Well, that's
a good point.
I can't argue against that.
I couldn't agree more. All right.
Mike Taylor says CHGO Cubs have great offseason.
I like it. All right. So I just want to start with the defense because we were talking about Pete Alonzo, and everyone's kind of like, oh, you can trade Busch and then, or you can play him at second base, or you could do all these things. And it's just like Michael Busch put himself as one of the best defensive first basemen in the National League this year. He was in the National League among qualified first basemen. He was fourth in defensive run saved with 5, right? Outs above average, he was fourth among qualified National League first basemen, all right? Only behind Matt Olson, Bryce Harper, and Christian Walker, all right? Like, listen, I understand that we have to, like, shake things up. The Cubs need to shake things up. I hate when I use we. The Cubs need to shake things up. I get that. But Michael Busch went from not really having a position before coming to the Cubs to learning and becoming a really good defensive first baseman with the Cubs.
He did what we hoped Morel would do.
Why would you want to change that? You know what I mean? Like, unless you're going to trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or an elite power hitter that can only play first base, like, I just don't know. I'm not for moving Michael Busch off first. I'm just not. Unless the player is really established and is going to be your core piece, the biggest piece that will put this team over the top. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the only name I can think of that is realistic or potentially realistic for this team, right? I use that as part of my grade, like the fact that he went from we didn't know if he could play first base to becoming a really good defensive first baseman as the season went along. He had some moments in the first month and a half of the season, but you could see the improvements as the season went along. I remember at the beginning of the season, he struggled with getting those throws from across the diamond that bounced. He struggled with those. He started making them more consistently as the season went along.
Yeah, like the more routine plays you'd expect a good defensive first baseman to make. Right. It seemed like that got more consistent too.
He did that. And as far as offense, he showed up and did everything I was hopeful, I guess. It is a lot of what I expected too, just because it's not like he wasn't ready for the major leagues. As the Cubs have pushed, and I don't even think it's necessarily their own narrative they're trying to push with Busch. Like, he was blocked by Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani. And I guess you can throw in Mookie Betts too, because going into the season, the Dodgers were playing Mookie Betts at second base. All right, I'm pretty sure they did. But Freddie Freeman played first, and Ohtani was DH this year, right? Mm-hmm. So you can make the argument that he legitimately was blocked by players that were more established and obviously better than him. So as far as offense, going into the year, I was hopeful for 20 to 25 home runs. He gave you 21. I was hopeful for just really solid offensive season, and that is basically what he did. So in many ways, I feel like I could give him an A. I can make the argument, but at the same time, his K rate was pretty high, and I am worried about the K rate. Now, if he increases the home run total in 2025, if he is a 30 to 40 home run hitter that strikes out 30% of his at-bats, I can live with that. But he's got to hit more homers if he's going to strike out that much. That's just, like, he was kind of viewed at by scouts as kind of like a Max Muncy type. That is what Max Muncy does. He hits a lot of homers, and his K rate's kind of high, right?
Yeah.
I think so, at least.
Well, that's the guy you've always compared him to.
Right. So, like, I guess that's my one thing against him is that his K rate's pretty high, and when he slumps, he slumps. Like, I wouldn't say he was consistent all season. Like, May was bad. And I feel like the second half of the season, end of July and a lot of August, wasn't very good either. Rookie player, so I'm not trying to put too much down on him. That's why he's got a B from me instead of like a lower grade.
Yeah, so you're coming back to a B.
So that's where I the lowest I'd go for him is a C+, because if you're going to strike out that much, you got to hit more homers. But again, he's a rookie player. So I feel like, considering we weren't really sure exactly what we were going to get, we also got a large majority of what I felt like we would get based off hopes and projections. But it can be better. He can be better, I think. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I view it.
He's unquestionably one of the positives of the season.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he was never bad. Like during the year, like there were definitely stretches where he was bad. But I think those bad stretches weren't necessarily as extended as like. Again, like
it wasn't like PCA.
His May was still like I think it was near about a 700 OPS. Like it's still. I mean, I can look at it right now, but he did have bad stretches. He had a 712 OPS in May. So even though that month felt like he had his struggles, obviously, it was still not as bad as maybe it felt like numbers wise. And I don't think like I said, I don't think he reached the depths that some other guys had during this season. I think he was, I say mostly consistent as far as like even the bad stretches weren't horribly bad stretches. I think
he still walked a ton probably during those stretches. Like that's another thing that I didn't mention. Like he gives you great at bats. He works counts. Mm-hmm. He makes pitchers throw a lot of pitches.
Veteran at bats is what it looked like. You know what I mean? Like that's something you'd expect sometimes from veteran. He didn't.
I just feel like he can be hot or cold. Like he had that 5-game stretch where you hit a home run in 5 straight games or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they came back to Wrigley and he slumped.
Yeah.
And I felt like that went into May. And I felt like towards mid to late May going into June is when he started getting it back. You know, the entire team slumped in May, right?
Like, if you take out that 5-game stretch, the question is that enough power out of your first baseman? Don't know. There's potential for more.
So you're saying instead of 21 home runs, you have 16?
Right. Like, I'm just saying, like, just a couple less. Like, it's a hot stretch, and then it did go quiet for a while. And so
I think he only hit 2 home runs. There's like a couple months where he hit, like, I think 2 in May and 2 in June.
Where you usually find a power hitter is first base.
Yeah.
Which we know they need. Power hitter.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think they're pretty fair grades. If you don't like them, go on social media and tell us. We don't mind. Don't care. You probably will.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
Thanks for checking out.
I stopped tagging us in.
Oh, man.
So we're not getting the notifications.
The first couple he would tag us in, and I'm like, dude, my phone is blowing up at all hours of the night. It was crazy.
Someone replied to the Ian Happ one this morning.
Really?
That we're tagged in.
Oh,
we're tagged in that one. Someone replied to that one. I'm like, dude, that one's been out for 2 weeks, brother.
I didn't even see that.
All right, starting next week, we'll just regrade all the players again. Thanks for checking out.
We're going to regrade our grades.
That's right. Since you don't like them, we'll regrade everybody. Thanks to everybody in the live YouTube chat. We appreciate it. Corey and Brendan at 11:30 on Friday. We'll be back at 11:30 on Monday. Until then, thanks for watching. And, of course, don't forget, fly the W. Bears at 1.
We all silly like the mayor.